Good morning. Hope you're doing really, really good. This is a reply to Digital Ministry 9. Did I say that right? Let's see if I can. There's a comment here that I'm trying to pull up, and it's giving me a lot of trouble. There it is. Yeah, Digital Ministry 9. Comment 17 hours ago. It's a comment on episode pod 16, which song Sleep Maintenance Insomnia. And firstly, I just want to say I really really appreciate this comment and especially like the tone in the beginning. And so actually, let's just read it and then I'll share some thoughts on it. So here we go. I hate to be the only comment and totally disagree. And I love to read that. I was like, that gave me this sense that the person writing this comment like has the intent of bring up like a conversation and something that can be helpful to other, like the intent is so good. So I was really happy when I read that, and that's why I was like, I gotta make like a really heartfelt and uh, you know a longer reply to this comment. So anyway, let's go on. But so I hate to be the only one to comment and totally disagree, but logically, if it is the preoccupation and the worry that is the cause, then it would seem more reasonable that it would happen anytime you're worried. Contrary to what is patently clear, is that a pattern develops for different people. If a person is always worried about sleep, and trust me, if you've had insomnia for a year, you're always worried about your sleep, then why is it that the same person constantly has no problem falling asleep and falling back asleep for 5 hours, but then is not able to fall asleep for a final cycle? It doesn't make sense to blame this on preoccupation, especially when the subject has successfully fallen asleep after 3 awakenings. The question is, what is going on at the final awakening that is different from the first 3? And believe me, one more sleep cycle makes all the difference in the world. I think you're ignoring the cortisol curve. Much research shows that when a person's cortisol starts to rise too early, then often they cannot get back to sleep. Once enough adenosine has built up throughout the day and your circadian rhythms raise melatonin and drop cortisol at night, then you have no problem falling asleep. This is the reason that this can easily be resolved in the short term with an antihistamine. You can quote unquote worry or be quote unquote preoccupied or not. It doesn't make any difference. If you do not have the proper hormonal balance, you simply are not going to get back to sleep, was the comment. And so, it's interesting when I'm reading this like slowly and in more detail that I feel like I, I totally agree on so many things, and then I think we see like maybe cause and effect differently. I think that's a thing. But let's go over this first thing that I read that I thought about, which was, so the question becomes like, if somebody has no problem falling asleep, but then like wakes up 3 times, has no problem falling back asleep, but then the final time they wake up have a hard time falling asleep. The way I interpret that is as follows: that going back to like basic sleep physiology, the only thing that can produce sleep is your sleep drive. And by the way, all this is like, of course, I've studied this and read research on it, but to a large extent, it's opinion too. It like I don't obviously don't claim to have like to have to be the only one who knows the truth. This is opinion, but my understanding, in my opinion, is that the only thing that can make us sleep is our sleep drive, our need for sleep, and then the absence of like kind of blocking things like stress, which is related to high cortisol levels. But anyway, going back to that sleep drive, like what I think is that if you have like enough of a sleep drive, you are really sleepy, and then even if you are to some degree worried, then your sleep drive is really strong and it overcomes that, and you fall asleep. And then let's say you have a sleep drive that is going to allow you, typically, like if there was nothing keeping you from that, it was going to allow you 7 hours of sleep, let's just say that for argument's sake, then you fall asleep pretty easily because your sleep drive is strong. you wake up and it's still strong, like you still need a lot more sleep. You fall back asleep, but that final awakening, you kind of used up a lot of your sleep drive. You know, you used up 5 hours out of the 7 hours, and even if you need more sleep, the what I think is like, you know, worry or preoccupation keeps you from falling asleep. You know, so I think to me it's a matter of like sleep drive versus like something that's blocking you from sleep. You know, that's how I interpret that. You can fall back asleep many times, but that not that final cycle. And let's see. I'm reading on. I'm just kind of like skimming through. The question is, what is going on? We talked about that, and believe me, one more sleep cycle makes all the difference in the world. You know, I've I've never had chronic insomnia, but I like I think I have more like kind of episodic insomnia than the typical person. I'm not sure, but I definitely have those nights where I'm super excited about something and I can feel that energy within me, and then I know I'm not going to sleep much, and I may sleep, you know, 3 hours or something like that overnight. But I understand this one because if I can finally fall back asleep at 5 a.m. and sleep until 6 a.m. or even like 5:15 and sleep until like get 30 or 45 minutes, that makes a total difference. So I guess I'm just sharing that to relate. I can definitely relate to this one. Okay, I think you're ignoring the cortisol curve, and you go on to talk about like some hormonal physiology, and and there's no question that there are these hormonal. I mean, we know that there's a circadian rhythm to cortisol levels, to melatonin levels, and that adenosine. I think the way we understand that is that yeah, we kind of accumulate adenosine as we stay awake, and then it's like metabolized at night, and like the higher. And by the way, that goes back to that sleep drive. A lot of people believe that adenosine is the sleep drive. That the higher adenosine levels we have, the more sleep we need, because that's a kind of byproduct of any activity, and and so just commenting on that. And now this is the reason this can easily be resolved in the short term with an antihistamine. Enough adenosine. I don't immediately understand this one, like, and that could be totally be like just my ignorance of like antihistamine, how they affect adenosine levels. But the kind of I read it as I read it as the antihistamine somehow affecting the cortisol levels maybe. Okay, anyway, then the final thing here, you can worry or be preoccupied or not. It doesn't make any difference if you do not have the proper hormonal balance. You simply are not going back to sleep. And this is the thing that I kind of like agree with that, but we see the root cause for that differently. Meaning, I see it as you don't have the proper hormonal balance because you worry. You know, to me, it is anxiety slash worrying slash preoccupation that is the reason that hormonal imbalance is there. Like you have high cortisol levels, and I think you see it more as there is something else that is causing that hormonal imbalance, and that is then causing you to get back to sleep. So this is an answer to digital ministry. I hope you found this answer in this answer the same friendly tone as you have in yours. And I love this comment. It was like somebody that's inviting for a constructive like dialogue, and oh yeah, so you gotta forget. So in light of that, if you'd like to like talk more as like do a podcast episode where we talk, love to do that, or you can just leave another comment and we can keep talking and whatnot, and then we'll go from there. So I hope you have a great day, Digital Mystery, and anybody else tuning in. Hope you get some value from this. And today's Sunday, so I'll be back with more tomorrow. Until then, take it easy. Bye bye.